I get to do my second window well today. I'm kind of lucky. I actually dug it back further enough that I should be good for, depth this way. This ground I think is too high up, so we're gonna have to get a rake. I got everything except a rake. We're gonna have to get a rake to break this up and lower this down an inch or two. I think my width is pretty close, but I need to get it nice and level, and I need to make sure this height is good, and I need to make sure that this height is relatively good too, and we can get to cutting and getting stuff put in. You'll notice when I'm digging and hauling into my wheelbarrow, I'm putting it into this screen here first, and that'll let me pull out all of these big chunks of rocks, and it helps turn what would have been otherwise just kind of like get rid of it fill into more usable soil again because of how fine it all is. I made this out of old scrap from when I tore out the garage, so as YouTubers say, that's free. And someone else had this 1/2-inch wire mesh, so of course I didn't pay for that, so of course that's free. And maybe I should make a YouTube video about how to build a gravel screen for free. You just get all the materials supplied to you by someone else, and then it doesn't cost anything, right? That's how the YouTubers do it. All of this dirt that's making its way through the sifter, through the grate, through the sieve, through whatever that's called, all of this dirt I deem as good enough to be reusable. And I've got areas around the front of the house and the side of the house where the concrete forming was that they dug out like an extra 6 inches of gap between the sidewalk and the grass. So I've got to fill that in with dirt, and this is where I'm going to get that dirt from. And that way I don't have to spend money on dirt, and I get to be cheap. Maybe I can spend that money on Wendy's instead. There are many different kinds of rakes and shovels. And I've always sort of wondered how people get nice straight edges on their digging. Because you think of a shovel and you think of this, and it's got a very curved profile. And how do you get, the curved back here to end up with a straight line for your dug hole? But they make flat-ended shovels, so you can actually get straight flat edges on whatever holes you want to dig. This hose coming along here, and over here is my irrigation line for the 2 sprinkler heads that'll deal with that half of the backyard. And it is too shallow. I did not plan this very well, and I didn't bury it deep enough. So I'm gonna have to trench out this way a few feet and get that lowered down till it's below the 10.5 inches that I need for my window well. And I'll have to retrench along here quite a bit, but I've got lots of slack of extra irrigation line over there. So when the time comes to dig out the controller and put a new valve in, that will be controlled by my irrigation system that sits down over there in the basement. I do have enough hose for that, and I do have enough circuits for that in the irrigation system. I think if I come back to about here and then dig down underneath the irrigation line, then I'll be able to get it lower down the extra couple inches that I need. Another advantage of the flat bottom shovel is I can slide it right along the top of my irrigation pipe, and I don't have to worry about cutting it. If finally have my irrigation line out of the way, I can dig this down the extra couple of inches that I need all the way across, and then I can put it back down. Found where the end of my drain pipe is, and this pipe goes all the way around the house, around the corner to the other window well. And the idea here is that if the other window well somehow fills up with enough water, it will actually get into this pipe and drain all the way this way. If this fills up with enough water, you can put a sump pump in here that forcibly expels it onto the front yard. Always take a rock out of your shoe. That's good advice. There's a tree here I don't know if I want to dig out, and another bit here. One thing I've learned about digging trees, it's just keep moving the dirt. You get enough dirt moved, the tree will go. You can spend a lot of time wiggling at what you think should make the tree go all at once. But if you just get the dirt out, the tree will just surprise you and give up at some point.
What will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth, maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running low.
time. Oh, got a bit of a breeze today. That's nice. It's gonna be up to like 26, 27 C here, and I get to mostly work in the shade, which is great for the GoPro because it has really hard times with contrast, and also great for me in not the skin cancer and the overheating. Today's project has kind of been like 6 months in the making. One of the first things that I did was pull up that backyard over there and trench so that I can run irrigation to that backyard section so that it will get watered the same as all the rest of the lawn. When I bought this house, it came with irrigation, and that was awesome and a little bit expensive on the water bill, but I can adjust that now. But it was that back section was just pavers, just solid pavers, probably 450 square feet of just concrete pavers. There were so many pavers. But that is all dug up, and there's new irrigation, and there's new electrical going through under that backyard, and I've just put down the grass seed, and I've been kind of watering it with a sprinkler, but I can't get out here twice a day to make sure that it gets its morning and evening sprinkling. So I am going to be taking this pipe, which I ran months ago, before the winter, I believe, to get irrigation from the control box out to that back section. And to do that, I actually have to add a valve. I have to replace the box, the irrigation control box, and I have to do a little bit of electrical, and I have to do some programming, and I also have to do a bunch more digging because this is not in the right spot, and this has to be dug out so that I can replace it with the new one. And it's going to be a lot of digging again today. Yay! And then a bunch of fussing. Oh yeah, I had to go to like 6 different hardware stores. I went to Home Depot, Lowe's, Canadian Tire, 2 garden stores, and then finally went to one specialty plumbing supply store to get things that actually match this. I think it's important to get things that actually match. For one, because nothing that any of those hardware stores had would actually connect properly to what's already here. And for two, it makes it look like it's going to be all one relatively cohesive, pre-thought out, pre-planned, like I knew where to buy this stuff when I added on to it sort of thing. And that is important when it comes time to sell the house. But if a home inspector opens this up and sees 2 different kinds, 2 different styles of valves, then that says that someone came along and did something kind of weird and couldn't get it to match, and what's going on, and that's a concern. So if I can get everything to match, it'll be much easier for someone to say, okay, yeah, they added on to it, but it's all the same stuff, and it was installed originally by a professional, so maybe they just got a professional to come back in and install this anyway. It should be fine. Little things like that, it's important to keep in mind when you're doing work on an investment property, is make sure as much as you can, especially the mechanicals, they stay the same. It may seem like I'm doing a little bit of overkill on the digging, but I want to get down below the level of the valves so that I can clean up the interior of the box area, get some of this decorative gravel in underneath it, and then if anyone comes to look at it, they'll say, okay, well, this is not something that looks like it's been neglected or overflowed or anything like that. They'll say, this looks just fine. This looks better than what I usually see. So I'm going to be digging a little bit overkill and then coming in with all the hand tools once I've got the box out of the way, get in underneath. Then I can take my bucket of gravel, get some gravel put in underneath, and start to redo the actual plumbing here. So you can see they just had this sitting in on top of dirt here. And that's why I was saying don't need to. It's probably fine, but if I'm here, let's make it more than fine. Since chat's slow, I can give YouTube more attention when Twitch doesn't want any. So I think I have about enough digging done. I'll be able to get this box in here about at ground level. And this is fairly level. I'll grab my torpedo out when the time comes, but this is fairly level. And I've got room. So I'm going to try to pull this supply line off, pull it off here, move it down a little bit so that I can take my new valve here and key that on about there. And I do have an extension if I need to get a little bit more hose in there. And this is definitely long enough, so I won't need the extension for that. And I have a 90 as well. So all in all, we should be pretty okay to go. Got my supply line reconnected and brought in down to the bottom of the manifold. This one for my new circuit is going to be run underneath here, and I'm going to use an elbow underneath to get it to this one. So I will just dig out a little bit more along here because right now it's kind of coming straight up and I want it to come more horizontally. This one needs to be on, and this one needs to be off. This is the exhaust, and this is the flow for the comes from inside the house, goes to here, goes down. So that's on, that's off. So we shouldn't have water spraying out there. So we'll make sure this one is my drain, that's off. This is the supply. Okay, that's fine. No immediate leaks, though the air pressure might be keeping the water from getting out here. Manual watering. Press this to select the valve, plus set amount of time. Repeat steps. Okay, so we'll just go to run. And we'll go and look and see if we can see anywhere that has water coming out. Okay, so that is one of these ones in the back here. So this is behaving properly. So valve 1 is good. And then we get to rinse and repeat, if you'll pardon the pun. Get it? Rinse because it's water. For each valve. So we go to off. We have set manual valve. Press to get to valve 2. Press for time and go run. Oh, you can, okay, so I should be able to, so we go 2 plus 4, 5, 6, and then run. So now I should be able to go up and look for all the different things to run. It'll take 1 minute per. So this should be a 5-minute exercise, 6-minute exercise. Yeah, I hear something running. Oh, here's one. Man, a minute's a long time when you're waiting for water to boil. You can see these are trying to go. There's a leak. Oh, you know, I bet the concrete guys broke this. Second circuit is no good because concrete guys damaged my stuff. This will be valve 3. This one's fine. Okay, so we got this one here. Yeah, here they are. They're the ones along the edge of the garden, pointing towards the garden. And then we might have these ones try to pop up now, wherever these ones ended up. So this is 2. Okay, so we'll go manual, go to 2, set to 2 minutes, turn on. And 2 is not running. So this is not the source wire. This is a continue wire. This is a source wire. So that's why that wasn't running, because that's not actually connected to anything. Yeah, that is 6. So we'll try running 6 on its own. Manual valve, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Run. We don't have leaks. Oh! It could be that it was just all empty line. So they're kind of slowly creeping up here. Oh, there we go. They were super tightened down closed because they've never been used before. And that'll probably be the same with this one. Ah. Okay, now I gotta wonder if there's a way to adjust the flow, because there's about the proper position, but they're really not going very far. Oh, hello. Why are we flooding here? That's a problem. That's a big problem. And that would be why we don't have much flow. So something got nicked pretty bad, and we're gonna go turn that water off. Okay, well, one good thing is that it is going down that pipe. That's not new water, that's air from the this blowing. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to dig up a bunch of this stuff again, which is too bad because I wanted to just be able to use this, and I have to dig up the front yard too. I got this all in. It's looking much prettier on the inside at least. It's fairly level. It's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. Like, the ground around it isn't perfect, but it's more or less between the bubbles. So we're just going to take some time and refill the trenches here. As a precautionary effort, I'm going to put this lid on it so that even if I do dump some dirt on top, it doesn't get in. So we're going to have a whole bunch of demolition noise from inside the house today. They're tearing up the hardwood flooring, and they're hauling out the hardwood flooring, and they're doing, you know, a lot of the last little finicky bits like the door stuff out of the main floor. So we're going to have some noise there, and I think we also have some noise from the dump truck. It's a great way to start a YouTube video, but I can't really wait because, you know, then I'm just waiting. I had gotten all of my irrigation finished, and I could see that it was running. But it was really low, and then it turns out that there is a leak somewhere in the line, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, man, I crossed my fingers in. Yeah, fingers crossed that it's just the one elbow fitting that I've got in the line here. And if it is, then it's great. It's really easy. I just have to get some of this gravel out, dig a little bit of the dirt out, replace that elbow. If it's not that, then I have to do a whole bunch more digging. So I'm going to start with just digging the gravel out into these buckets, try to, you know, take care of it a little bit, and then we'll go inside, start the irrigation, see if we can see where it's leaking, and if it is here, then great, and if it's not, then more digging. We can see right here where the water was coming up. It made very clearly a washed out void where some of the gravel collapsed into. So we're going to start by just digging straight down there and seeing what we can see. Definitely a break right here. Definitely a break. I've definitely confirmed that this is where the split in the pipe is. And now I'm just going to dig this line back a little bit, so I've got a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more length to work with for getting my replacement splice in here and my replacement line in there. I'm going to clean off this hose clamp so I can get this section of pipe off, have enough here so that I can get a coupler in the middle and get a new length of pipe here. Reminds me of a joke. What do you get when you add water to mud? More mud. I'm going to get a goodly length of this that I can cut down after. I've gotten this hose clamp loose. I have to cut this hose back some amount so that I can get this new piece of pipe and this coupler on, kind of like that. And then I just have to get it on that elbow, and then we can test this. This is actually going fairly easily. So I'm trying to extract this without damaging that elbow. Ah, that elbow itself is broken as well. This one, let's go to about there. Oh, I've already got one with the tag off. That goes on there. Yeah, there we go. Now I get these tightened back on, and then we can test it. Manual valve, 2 minutes run. So there's no leak here. There they go. All right, well, let's go stop that before all my stuff gets soaked. So we did it. It's fixed. I'm a little bit optically confused by the way this bit of fence is slanted. So I'm going to go and grab my level. I want to see how close to not slope towards my house I am. Because that's one of the things that will definitely show up in any half-decent house inspection. That's a 1/2 inch over 4 feet by eyeballing. That's pretty good. Well, what do you think? Now, if this was an area that was going to be getting a lot of usage and people are going to be walking on it all the time, I would take the time and get like a proper sand base underneath and make sure that there was no wobble and make sure everything was nice and camped down. But the undersides of these things will fill in as weather happens and bugs happen, and as plants happen. I'm going to try to find some sort of greenweed that I can put in throughout this area that isn't grass, doesn't need attention. That'll just fill it in and make it look just like this gray, ugly that it is right now.